everyone, Liam Ward here at LearnTheHarmonica.com. Thank you for tuning in. Today we are talking all about positions and maybe a bit about modes as well and how they interact. Let me know in the comments where you are coming from. Also put in the chat, hopefully the video and the sound is okay. Seems to be all right from my side of things. I am terribly bad with technology, considering I spend a lot of my time making YouTube videos. So yeah, let me know of any problems, but I think it's okay. So we're going to go through what positions are, how to use them, some of the common positions. I've got some questions lined up, or I should have them lined up on my computer somewhere, that people have sent in advance by email and social media and stuff. And I'll also take any that I have time for in the chat as well. Probably go for 45 minutes to an hour. And I am doing a flash sale, 50% off my positions and modes course. That's only going to last for an hour. So from an hour from now, so that's 6 p.m. UK time, that's 1 p.m. EST, Eastern time in the US, or an hour from now, wherever you are. So there's a link in the chat pinned at the top, and there's also a link in the description beneath the video. If you want to go and save 50% on that course, then do. It's all about this stuff, but in more depth. So we've got Samuel in Slovakia. I recognize the name. We've got, is it Ionut in Romania? Bluebird123 says sound is good. That's good. Hey Pete in Florida. And we've got Victor in Texas. Cool. So we've got some people tuning in from all over, which is nice. Anthony in Denver, Colorado. Willem in Netherlands. So I'm just going to start with a few introductory things about positions. So the most important thing to think about is that positions, playing in different positions, is a way to use the harmonica to its strength. So if you think of a guitar is able to play in any key you like. But a harmonica, our little thing here, is tuned to play in a specific key. That's what it's designed for. So this is the G harp. That was what I was playing, that little tune at the start on. If anyone can name the tune, bonus points. So G harp, this is supposed to be played in the key of G. But that suits G major. So simple, happy, bright, major sounding melodies, pop tunes and nursery rhymes and anything in a major key might work on this instrument. But what if I wanted to play in a minor key, a minor scale, or I wanted to play blues that's a contrast between major and minor, sits between the two and pulls both ways? That major tuned harmonica is going to be a problem for me. Now, one way around that is to get a different tuning of harmonica, a minor tuned harmonica, but traditionally they haven't always been available. And one way of getting great expressive ability out of an instrument without having to learn a new note layout is to actually play in a different key. So this is supposed to be played in G, but I could play it in F or in A by selecting certain notes that will suit me for certain styles and certain scales. It's all about context. We're going to go into the context as this Q&A progresses, but essentially the basis of it is that we're trying to find a way of using this instrument to our own advantage, to make the sounds better or different, or to find a scale that naturally wouldn't be intended on that instrument. So that's really the starting point, because a lot of people say, well, what's the point of positions? Why bother? That's the idea. It's all about context, finding different scales, different styles. Who else have we got? We've got Charlie in Colorado. We've got Klaus in Germany. I'm going to answer straight off the bat. Samuel has asked, Are other harmonica positions, for example, fourth, fifth, etc., useful? Do you use them? Okay, so I tend to use first, second, third, and 12th position. So the reason for that comes down to the circle of fifths. Now I've got one on my wall here. I'm going to take it down and show you. So if you think of, let's say we're on a C harmonica. So our home key is C. If I want to use different positions, I could in theory play in any of these different keys on the instrument. And the way that we count these on a circle of fifths is first position. That's our natural, our normal position, if you like, the key it's intended to be played in. Second position, third position, fourth position, fifth position, sixth position, all the way around to 12th position. So you'll notice that second and third position are quite close to the home key. And 12th position is also close to the home key. That's because the key of F is close to the key of C. The position, the scales are similar. They share a lot of notes. So 12th position is actually easier to play than like 6th, 7th, 8th position, because they are the keys that are the furthest away from the home key, from the home position of the instrument itself. So 4th, 5th, 6th, 4th position can be useful, maybe get onto that. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, not many people use them. But again, it all depends on context, because if you're trying to play a scale that has certain intervals that would work well in that position, then of course, go for it. A few people have said the sound has gone a bit strange. Let me know if yours isn't working. Someone has said it's okay. My connection says it's unstable, so I don't know if that means anything. I'm going to keep going, see how we get on. Okay, so first position is your kind of default thing to do, your major scale. I'm going to take a C harp, it makes it easier. Okay, our major scale, so that works nicely for major scale melodies, that kind of thing. What about if you want to go further than that? Okay, so where would you go if you're trying to play blues, for example? Well, blues music, most of it is played in second position. So that would be the key of G on a C harmonica. So if I go back to my circle of fifths, this is my first position on a C harp. G is my second position on a C harp. So I can use a C harmonica to play in the key of G. My kind of home note, if you like, for the key would be on my 2 draw, 3 blow, or my 6 blow. So that's a G note on my C harp. And I did have a question on Facebook from Jerry Guy, who was asking about root notes for each key and avoid notes and major and minor feels, which positions to use. So this is going to kind of lead a little bit into that. So second position works nicely for blues because the note selection that you've got gives you the flattened seventh for a start, but it also lets you kind of bend notes on certain notes that start to sound really cool and bluesy. That kind of thing. That's all to do with the note selection that I'm choosing on the instrument. If I try to play those licks in the key of C on this C harp, they just wouldn't be anywhere near as easy. I couldn't get the same inflections, the bends. So it's all about context and about what's going to work well on the instrument. So my licks are kind of starting and finishing often on that 2 draw. But I'm aware this is kind of confusing or problematic if you're so used to this idea that a C harmonica plays in the key of C. And that's what you've got to get past. A big stumbling block for learning about positions is that starting idea of a harmonica is suited for playing in a certain key. And as I said before, the context that we need to understand that in is that it's only suited for playing that key for a specific scale. So C major, okay, it's great for C major, but it's awful for C minor. So if you wanted to play in C minor, you have to think about a different position if you're not going to buy a different harp with a different tuning. So our next position, third position, is actually really good for minor. So C harmonica, second position starting on your 2 draw would be G. Third position would be D, and really useful for D minor. So that would be a 1 draw or a 4 draw or an 8 draw as your kind of your home note, your starting note, if you like. So immediately, using the same kind of range of notes, if I start and finish and use as my central point, the tonal center of what I'm playing, the 4 draw in that case, or the 1 draw, suddenly it sounds minor and dark. So I can use my C harmonica to play in D minor. Now, the exact note selection would depend on the melody you're choosing to play or the scales that you're choosing to pick notes from. So the position is not telling you what notes you have to play. It's just telling you the tonal center. It's telling you where the key, the kind of center of that key lies. So third position is the 1 draw, 4 draw, 8 draw. That's the tonal center of everything that you're playing. Sorry for anyone who's been struggling with the video or audio, by the way. I'm just going to have to hope that my internet plays up. A few people said it kind of buffered and then it's back. So see how we get on. Okay, so I've got a few questions that have come in prior to this live Q&A, and I'm going to go through those as much as I can. So let's see what we have got. So Evan emailed me and said, if I play a melody in first position, what difference does it make if I play it in another position? And I think he said specifically third position. So again, it all depends on context. Like if you played When the Saints Go Marching in first position, okay, first position works fine. If I tried to play that in third position, it's going to be difficult because that's a major scale melody. It's based around the major scale. So if I try it in third position, I mean, I'll give it a go, but I'm going to struggle to even find the notes. So I'm going to try starting on the 1 draw. So let's see what we've got. It's harder. Like, what's the point? I'm having to bend a lot of those notes. I've never played it in third position in my life, by the way. It can be done. If you did it an octave up, you'd have to overblow. You'd have the 5 overblow because I was playing the half step bend on the 2. So it's all about context. Like some tunes don't make sense in certain positions. That doesn't mean they're not possible. Doesn't mean you can't choose to do it, but they're going to be more difficult. You're going to run into problems. So it's about playability as well as the kind of tonal choices you're making. The flip side would be if you played something in third position that worked really well. Summertime, if I tried to play that in first position, I'm not even going to try because I know it's going to involve loads of overblows and it's going to sound horrible. So it's about the strengths of each position. Again, it's not the position isn't telling you what notes you have to play, but certain notes are always going to be easier. Certain melodies, certain scales are always going to be easier in one or another position. So it's about using the instrument to its strengths. Okay, we've got a question here from Once They Named Me I Wasn't, I think is the name. How do you know the right notes, holes, etc. to draw blow, like you were saying, 1, 5, 7, according to each position? Well, I mean, you'll find once you start trying to work out melodies in a certain position, starting on a certain note, you'll find that some of them fit nicely and some of them don't. But it is useful to know where kind of your root, third, and fifth degree of the scales are. So in first position, for anyone who find this useful, this might make no sense to you. First position, 4, 5, and 6 blow give you the root, third, and fifth degree of the scale. So that's like a C chord. Second position, 2, 3, and 4 draw give you the root, third, and fifth degree of the scale. So you can start to build melodies around that. Third position, for example, you actually have to do an awkward note for this. 1 draw, 2 draw half step bend, that's an awkward one, and 3 draw full step bend. If you tried it from 4 draw, that 5 draw is flattened a half step, so it gives you not the third degree of the scale, but the minor third. Hear how that sounds a bit more minor. I'm going to try and play a bit more gently. I know the sound goes a bit raspy on the higher notes. Because I'm just using the computer's built-in audio. When I record a course, when I record a YouTube video, I use a proper microphone, which is out of shot and not plugged in. So that's why third position works better for minor tunes, because naturally the instrument wants to give you that flattened third, and you can get the flattened 5 as well, and you get these kind of minor notes of the minor scale, notes that want you to play minor melodies. But that can be your starting point for building melodies, because the root, third, and 5 are really key notes for playing melodies. I have with my positions course, I go through the strengths of first, second, third, fourth, and 12th positions. And included with the course, I teach you a tune in each, but also I have these quick reference sheets that have what they're useful for, the tonic notes, so like the tonal center, the some scales, so like major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, blues scale, talk a little bit about modes as well. And you get all this with the course, kind of going through each of those positions. So if you want to kind of go deeper into each position, then do check out the course. But yeah, knowing the root, third, and 5 can be a good place to start. Here's a good question from Rob. I think it's Rob Sonneveld, who emailed me. He said, harmonicas are in different keys. They're differently tuned according to their key. So I have to know each key and every hole, blow or suck by ear of each of, do I have to know that on each of the harmonicas? Surely that's way too much to learn. But the players I see don't have a problem with that. So do they just play whatever they feel like? or don't they know the holes? Because so how are they playing if they don't know the note layout? Okay, so the answer to this is that harmonicas are differently tuned in that each key of harmonica, so C or G, has a different set of notes available, but they are tuned the same relative to each other. So if I play like the major scale in the middle of the C harmonica, I can play that same pattern of blow and draw on the holes. So 4 blow, 4 draw, 5 blow, 5 draw, 6 blow, 6 draw, 7 draw, 7 blow. I can pick up a different key of harmonica, so now my G, play the same layout of kind of blow, draw, and that gives me the G major scale. And this is the beauty of having instruments that are tuned relative to each other. So if I've got an A and a B flat here, I can play, if I learn one note layout, then I can play those scales on all these in all these different keys. So it's not that I could tell you straight off the bat the G major scale, the actual tones, the notes that are part of it, but I know that I can blow, draw, blow, draw, blow, draw, blow. So in answer to that question, most players are not thinking about the notes themselves. They're thinking about the layout of the instrument. So they're thinking, if I do this range of blow and draw on these notes, it will sound like this in this key kind of thing. So you don't actually, you're not having to think about C, D, E, F, G, you know, the actual specific notes. You're thinking about the layout of the instrument. Oh, this is a good question from Michael in the chat. Michael says, can you talk about whether you think about positions or modes whilst playing and how you'd think of the modes while playing, or do you just not think about it? Okay, so I'm not thinking about positions or modes as such when I'm playing. I would know what position I was playing in. But in the heat of the moment, in the middle of a gig, soloing, then I would essentially be free flowing. I'm just going with what feels right in the moment. But that's come from a lot of practice. So I've got comfortable, I've got used to playing in certain positions. So for blues, my default position would be second position. So I've got loads of patterns of notes. I've got loads of history, loads of experience playing in second position. So I know when the chords change, the kind of thing I'm going to do. But I'm not. There's very little conscious thought when you're soloing, when you're performing, because the thought is more going into, okay, I need to cue the band, or I need to keep an eye on that person who's about to fall on the stage or something, you know. The actual playing itself is about feeling it, going with the moment, going with what feels right in the moment. So it's not a conscious thing, and you'll find that with performers generally, that they're in flow, they're in a state of flow when they're performing. So it's not that they're kind of thinking, what I'm going to do next is play these notes because I'm in this position. So sorry, very waffly, long-winded answer. The short answer is no, I don't think about it. Okay, Jackie Fernandez emailed me. This isn't strictly about positions, but it's kind of related. Says, how do you know the key of harmonica from its sound? And I'm going to expand that question myself to, how would you know the position of the harmonica from its sound? Okay, so generally the lower harps you're going to hear would be a G harmonica, maybe a low F. But if you're hearing rich low tones, relatively low, it's likely to be a G harmonica. If you're hearing kind of wailing sounds that sound quite high, then you're more likely to be hearing a D or an F harmonica. But the way to check if you're listening to something is to try and find that root note. So I've mentioned most of blues, you're playing in second position. So if you try and work out kind of where the note they're returning to is, it'll often be the 2 draw. So if you can work out which harmonica you need for that key, and they're always returning to that 2 draw, you'll probably find the harp they're using. But I think the more interesting question is how to tell what position someone's playing in. So first position tends to have that kind of brighter sound to it. So if you're hearing things in a bright kind of campfire folky sort of harmonica way, you know, like Bob Dylan, Neil Young style stuff, often it'll be first position. That sort of stuff is often first position. If it's blues, you can almost assume it's second position, anything with wailing harmonica in it. Third position is going to have those rich bending sounds to it, and it's likely to be minor. You know, that kind of thing, it's more likely to be third. Once you go beyond those to the weird positions, it gets strange. It gets really strange. So there's, you know, you've not got the obvious markers of what those positions are, but you're unlikely to hear those positions, to be honest. Almost every harmonica player, we're talking professionals as well, there are exceptions, but most harp players don't really often go beyond first, second, and third because they give you a good range of major, minor, and between those two. So you, with first, second, and third, you can do a lot. Most of the songs you want to play, most of the melodies and scales, you'll find a way to do it within those 3 positions. In response to the question about knowing the right notes, once they named me, I wasn't. Says, thanks, makes sense. It's just about figuring them out then, but knowing where root, third, and fifth are makes that easier. Is that right? Yes, yes. So I would recommend, if you're thinking of playing in different positions, finding a melody, you know, find a tab. If you look at the tabs, I've got hundreds of free tabs on my website. I always put what position they're in. So find a tab for a certain position, and that'll help you kind of root yourself in that position. Like if I've got Summertime on my website, I've probably got it in third position. Not necessarily, might be in fourth position because that's also good for minor. But that's a good way in, and then you start to find, oh, these are the juicy notes, like the 4, 5 draw, 6 draw in third position. These are where the juice is, where the expressive capacity of the instrument lies, and you start to find a route around that position, if you like. Hey, Rick Mendez has joined in. He says he's over in New York City. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Finally made it to the live version. Well done, mate. Are you taking students? I'm not taking private students. I am taking new students to my school. I'm offering a free trial to my school. There's a link in the description, but I basically don't have time for private students because I'm recording lessons, recording courses, doing my school stuff, or I'm gigging, or I'm doing stuff like this, Q&As. So unfortunately, I don't have time for private students. Okay, there's another question I got by email from Mark. Oh, this is kind of an interesting one. It's kind of to do with the interaction of the harmonica and other instruments. So bear with me with it. It's quite a long question. So Mark says, my question is in regards to picking the right key harmonica with a saxophone. I've played along with a piano and a guitar in first position, and I understand that second position is used for the blues. This past week, I was trying to play along with someone playing the saxophone, and I was playing the harmonicas. Whatever I choose, did not seem to be in the right key. When he said the key of C, I tried a C harp and it was off. Is there some conversion method for playing with a B flat instrument? Yeah, okay. So you need to be sure when someone else tells you what key they're playing in, that they're telling you the concert key, the concert pitch. Because someone who's on a B flat instrument like a saxophone, if they say C, they might mean B flat. I know. Because they're what they call C, what they read C on the sheet music, will be a B flat to a concert instrument like the harmonica. It's confusing, it's historical, and it's a practical thing for certain instruments. But you need to make sure they're not telling you what they would read on the page, but actually the concert pitch, the concert key that everyone else would be thinking about. So the most likely thing, if they've said C and you've picked up a C harp and it doesn't sound right, the likely thing is that they are actually in B flat. The other concern may be that, say it's a blues and they've said C and it is in C, not B flat. If you pick up a C harp, it's hard to play blues on a C harp in the key of C. That is possible, but if you're trying to follow these cool, jazzy, bluesy saxophone licks, you're going to struggle playing a C harmonica in the key of C, i.e. first position. So second position would generally be better. But the most likely thing is they've actually told you the wrong key, or they've told you their B flat key, if you like. Okay, so Michael in the chat says, Liam, would it be possible to explain your way to find the key of a tune and choose the right harp accordingly? I always hear and find that note that will resonate more, etc. But I always find many work. Yeah. So that this, Michael, you're asking kind of hearing a tune, what key is it in? What harp do I need to pick up? Yeah, you do need to listen for that note that resonates, but it needs to be a note that sounds so safe, so, especially with like simple chord progressions like blues, so safe throughout the whole progression. It feels so relaxed. It feels so so integral to the music that it's not. There's absolutely no tension there. It doesn't matter what part of, for example, the 12-bar blues you're going through. That note sounds at home. Now, I know this is a little bit abstract. I know that it's not necessarily easy if you're not used to it, but that tonal center of the music, where the music sits, you know, everything else surrounding it, is a bit of an abstract thing, and it's kind of just the way it is. Unfortunately, you have to learn to use your ears. I mean, it's easier if there's a harmonica in the song, because you can try and replicate the harp, the licks they're playing, the lines they're playing, and if you can replicate them, you've probably picked up the right harmonica. If there's no harmonica in the song, you're left with this kind of trying to interpret what is there. The easiest thing these days is to just Google what key a song is in. The answer that Google gives you won't always be right, because sometimes they'll tell you the key without a capo added. So often, like Neil Young's a good example. There's a few tunes, if you Google a Neil Young song, it won't actually tell you, excuse me, I've got a dry throat today. Won't actually tell you the key you're hearing. It'll tell you the key if you didn't put a capo on the guitar. So you do have to be careful, but often you can just Google what key is Bohemian Rhapsody in. But yeah, unfortunately, you do have to kind of listen for that tonal center. And then you also want to, in order to work out what harmonica to play, you want to listen to whether it's major or minor. So does it have that bright, happy or kind of uplifting sound to it. You know, that's a major scale thing. Because if it does have that sound to it, if you know the song's in C, you can probably use your C harmonica. But if the melody of the song has more of a dark or mournful sound to it, it might be in a minor key. So you might hear this kind of range of notes. You know, that kind of set of notes, then it's got that darker sound. It doesn't sound as happy and uplifting. Then you probably won't want first position. You'll probably want third position or fourth position. So I'm just going to mention fourth position. I'm going to go back to my circle of fifths. On a C harp, first position, second position, third position, fourth position. Okay, so my fourth position is the key of A on a C harmonica. But notice also, we've got this lowercase a written here. So my C harmonica, C major, what these are telling you is the relative minor keys. So what this means is the C major scale contains all the same notes or the same tones as the A minor scale. So if you're choosing to play in fourth position, first, second, third, fourth position, without doing any bends, just by essentially playing the C major scale, but starting on the A note, you've got the A minor scale. So fourth position is really cool, really works for minor scales. So if I take that C major scale, but I start further up, I'm going to start on the A note. So this is my sixth draw. Sorry if the audio breaks up. Or if I go further down, I do actually have to use a bend because that note is missing in the bottom octave. Don't want to get into that. It gives me the A minor scale. So suddenly I've got a minor scale, but using the same set of notes the instrument wants to give me. If you're a guitarist or play a different instrument, you'll probably be familiar with this idea of major and minor kind of relative keys. So every major scale has a relative minor scale or key attached to it. So same set of tones, but depending on the tonal center, the note you're starting and finishing with, or the kind of the tonal center, you're going to get a different feel. So fourth position, A minor on a C harp, is really cool. The only thing is, if you compare it with third position, it's maybe not as expressive. So if you're a beginner and you're trying to work out a melody like Summertime, that you know is a minor tune, it's got that mournful, darker sound to it, fourth position is the safest place to start, trying to work it out in the key of A minor on a C harp. But third position, as long as you can bend notes, is more expressive. So you'll be able to really kind of dig in with those notes, bend in and out of the notes, get those notes to do things more interesting and essentially better. So, but also about expressive capacity of the instrument and of the position. So third and fourth will both give you those minor scales. Fourth may be a bit easier, but third is going to be better in the long run. And that's why most people play third position for minor melodies and minor scales. Not because it's easier, because once you learn to bend, it sounds better. And this is a question that often confuses people who are coming to harmonica from another instrument. because I've done videos all about positions on YouTube, and I always mention third position being great for minor keys and minor scales. And there's always comments from people going, surely fourth position, the relative minor would work better. And that's the what I'm trying to say, that it does work, but it just doesn't sound as good. Okay, let's see what else we have. So Bluebird123 says, so your example of playing along with a B flat saxophone, would you use a B flat harp to play in second position key of C? I find saxophone confusing. No. Okay, so the first thing is you've got to establish what the concert pitch, what the concert key of the song is. So let's say the concert key of the song is C. Key of C, you would need an F harmonica to play in second position, okay? But that's only if you know that the key is C. So if the key is actually B flat, not the sax player has said C but means B flat. Let's say the key is B flat, concert key is B flat. You need an E flat harmonica to play in second position. So again, if we return to the circle of fifths, when you jump around from the starting key, you can just count up. So first position, second position, third position, fourth position, yada, yada. But it depends where you're starting from. So that's assuming you're starting from a C harmonica. If you're starting from an, F harmonica, second position is C, third position is G, fourth position is D. So it all depends what harmonica you're starting from. I do have, did I print it off? Yeah, I did print it off. I'm more organized than I thought I was. I have this layout which you get with my school, and you get with some of my courses, that shows all the different positions for all the different keys. But you can just use, this is actually a simpler way of without having to write all this crap down. This is a simpler way of writing that down, basically, because all of that information is included in here if you know how to use it. So it depends which key you're starting on. Rick says, there are two sites that I use regularly, Key Finder and In What Key. They tell you the key, BPM, and other little details about the song. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like the technology these days, there's so much amazing stuff out there that can tell you these things. The only thing I would say is, if you're really in doubt, if you've checked one of these sites and it still doesn't seem to work, a human being who knows what they're talking about may be able to set you straight and go, as I say, like, I don't know about those sites specifically, they might be brilliant, but if you just Google it, sometimes it will actually not tell you the right key, because it's like a computer that's worked out and got confused or something. So yeah, you do have to take these things with a pinch of salt, and when in doubt, check with a human. Understanding or hearing what key things are in is, as I say, it's kind of annoyingly vague, and I'm aware my answer to the question previously or earlier has been a bit ethereal, a bit abstract. It's kind of just the nature of the beast. Music is a subjective experience. So sometimes a song, the tonal center of a song, they won't even play that chord. So I think one I was hearing recently was it Horse with No Name? I might be wrong about that. There are tunes out there that have two chords, and neither of them is kind of the tonal center. It's more the note choice of the melody and what the instruments are doing that gives it its tonal center. So it's like, that blows your mind even more. This is a very subjective feeling of like where the tonal center of the song sits. Essentially, if you can find a harmonica where the notes sound good to you, or sound right, or fit, or you can play the melody, or you can solo over it, it doesn't matter if you don't understand exactly why that works. You might not know what position you're in. I would hope you would, but it's whatever works. It's the sound of the instrument. Michael says, thanks. You're welcome, Michael. I hope that made some sense. Answering your questions. Evan has just popped in from Bristol. Evan, I think I answered your question earlier, so watch back, and I think it was nearer the start you were asking me something. Okay, one more question from Paddling16 in the chat, and then I think we're going to be done. So, before I answer that, actually, if you want to get my positions and modes course for half price, 50% off, you've got 15 minutes left. There's a link in the description and a link at the top of the chat to go and get that. I'm going to turn that sale off in 15 minutes. So I just wanted to give it to you lovely people for tuning in live. If you're tuning in after the fact, I'm sorry you missed it, but do check that out if you want to learn more. Okay, so Paddling16 says, why does the blues scale in third position sound so different than in second position? It's the same scale, just in a different key, but it has a real minor sound. Okay, so that's a really good question and a good way to finish. And I feel like we're circling back to what it means to play in different positions. So if we play the blues scale in second position, so this is on my C harp, two draw, three draw half step bend, four blow, four draw bend, four draw, five draw, six blow. That's second position. If we play it in third position, the same notes relatively in a different position. They're both the blues scale. Why do they sound different? Well, it's all to do with where those notes sit, where the layout of notes on the instrument is. So, the tabs for that, by the way, I played one draw, two draw full step bend, two draw, three draw bottom bend, so tone and a half, three draw full step, so a tone, four blow, four draw. I'm having to read this because I can never remember that one off by heart. But you'll notice the notes lie in different places. So on the second position one, you've only got a bend, three and four draw. But on the third position one, you put in a bend on two and you put in two bends on hole three. So trying to get those notes in tune, trying to get the tone right, trying to hit them kind of bash just like that straight off the bat is difficult. It's a difficult thing to do. So the note layout is making a big difference to the sound of the notes themselves. It's even more noticeable if I were to play, what's the best way for me to do this? If I did it on sorry, this might be a bit high. If I played it in second position on a C harp and in third position on F, that's the G blues scale on both. So the actual pitch of the notes will be the same as well. So they're actually the same pitch of notes, same key now, different positions. But they sound different. You'll notice when I get to that three draw, I'm struggling, sorry if that's a bit high, squeaky. I'm struggling to get those in tune, to get them sound really sweet. So it's not that it's more minor, as you said in your question, it's just that the layout of notes, where those notes are sitting, is going to be different. It actually, I think the blues scale works really nicely in third position, and blues music works really nicely in third position. And if anything, should be used more because those notes work so nicely. But this takes us all the way back to the start, where I said that using a different position is all about maximizing the ease of which you can access the notes, but also the tonal properties, the textures, the sound of the scale or the melody that you're aiming for. So it's about those choices. You are in charge. You are empowered. You have the ability to choose a position to suit your playing. So if you want to learn more about positions, I've got some stuff on YouTube, but if you want to take step by step, then check out my Positions and Modes for Harmonica course. It's a 5-module course going through lots of different stuff. If you want to see a breakdown of the course, follow the link in the description. And if you're watching live, you've got 10 minutes left to save 50% on it. Thanks for joining in today. I'm sorry that I think the video and the audio was a bit rubbish today. And hopefully, I still don't have fiber broadband here. It's terrible. I'm in like a black spot. So I'm hoping to get that soon. They said the first quarter of this year. So hopefully by the next Q&A, fingers crossed, my internet will be better. It only really matters for when I'm doing these live things. So yeah, thanks for your patience and for your questions. Good questions today, everyone. And thanks for joining in. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. I'm going to have I'll be back to normal next week with a lesson out on Tuesday. I'm kind of moving on from the positions stuff now, so it's going to be a new course of stuff. Well, next week is a bit of a one-off lesson, and then I've got a new YouTube series coming out. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. So I'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining in, and until I see you again, enjoy your playing.